When we went to visit one of the Neutra houses in LA, what he did was to use a lot of mirrors to expand the space, and that's one place we got an idea to place mirrors in strategic places so that the ceiling above us feels like it extends. Of course, you see the ceiling there, but there's no slope ceiling beyond this wall. But the mirror helps you visually trick your eye and make the rooms appear much larger than this. Half the time during the summer and the warmer months, it's great to be able to come in and out through these doors and entertain or just relax inside and outside. You can see how being elevated one floor here is really a big plus here. You're in a zone of the trees and surrounded by nature.
So if we come this way, we'll go into the primary bedroom, which is really where we spend all of our time. You've just crossed through the threshold to being on the cantilever on the west side. You will see the western view. It feels like you're floating again.
Floor-to-ceiling windows, wall-to-wall, and at the end of the cantilevers, that really accentuates the fact that you are above the ground floor by one floor.
You can look back to the studio, which is the addition we built, the studio garage. The studio seems to be a one-story structure there. Because of the terrain, the garage is below grade and built into the hillside. All four of these pieces are from my uncle, who made furniture, was very handy, was a great artist, and used automotive paint actually to make these paintings. So, which is good because we get some intense sun on the western side, and the artwork doesn't suffer for it.
We studied multiple schemes before we landed on the house that you just saw. This was one of the first ones. We were trying to save the original 1,100 square foot house that was here on the site. But we went away from the idea of saving that original house because no matter what you do to it, it will be very much limited by the small structural grid that it had. And then we said, okay, we're not going to save the house. We had this idea that, well, if you really like the second floor, why don't we put everything on the second floor? So what we have here is a scheme that has the same living room that you saw, and the kitchen and the master bedroom, but two other bedrooms and a study that is all elevated on the eastern end of the property.
With the Board of Health, if we wanted to avoid a full-blown public hearing, we could only relocate one bedroom.
One of the bedrooms.
Upstairs, as opposed to all three. So.
Yeah, so in this case, all the bedrooms that used to be on the ground floor, like in this one, has to go upstairs, and so that we saw that as another challenge. So this is pretty much what we built, with two bedrooms down below and one bedroom on one end, dining room that you saw, and a living room and a kitchen under the tall volume. This model was built for me by an artist, Takeshi Miyakawa, who is a very good friend of ours, and he brought it for me on my 50th birthday.
What's not here and what wasn't here with the original house is, again, the garage studio that sits here. You can see the terrain. This really afforded us the opportunity to kind of tuck the garage into the earth and build the studio where we're sitting on the first floor. So it really does align with this first floor of the house.
And for the regulatory reasons, we had to connect the two structures with a covered walkway, which I think is a very nice architectural touch. It's almost Japanese in some ways. What makes the floating aspect possible is a steel structure and a very significant foundation that pins the steel structure into the ground so that the house is stable during the wind. And what you don't see, which we were very, very careful to do, was to design a steel structure in a way such that the steel members are very, very small and basically disappears into what looks like a conventional 2x6 walls. If you look at the structural drawing of it, this house is basically two parallel trusses that are supported by very small foundations with two ends cantilevering from the foundation about 20 feet on each end. A good engineering makes things look easy, and that's what we're trying to achieve with the design of the house. Now, the biggest windows are here. This is 33 feet long, and it is a source of the most natural light. It's facing directly south. During the winter, the sun comes all the way back into the back wall of the living room and heats up the house. In the summer, as you can see, no sun comes in. So that's one main room, and then bedroom faces west and the dining room faces east. Each have a completely different view on the sunlight conditions. We chose a dark shade of color for the top, and it's black. The idea was to make it look like it blends into the shadow of the trees that we have here, so that it doesn't really stand out. It's not a huge house, but you can see we have probably 18 chairs here, and we can comfortably, okay, it's too many.
Too many chairs.
We can comfortably entertain 20, 30 people easily, and in a way that connects the outdoors in the terraces to this big room very seamlessly. So I think for me that's one of the best part of the house. You're comfortable if you're alone, or you're comfortable with many of your friends, or you're comfortable with a bunch of furniture that you collected over the years.
Yes. We actually have really appreciated, especially living in New York City much of the time, just the wildlife we have here: birds, fox, deer. Supposedly we have bear. We haven't seen those, but
Lucky.
I think this house surprises people because from the outside, it looks very modern. Whether it's off-putting or intimidating to people who have an impression about what a modern house is, I think once they come inside, there's a level of warmth and comfort. And I think that's from the materials and the use of, and the structuring of the light, and certainly the surrounding trees and the woods coming in.
It's a dream house. I have many more.
Yes. It's a great house.
It's a great house.
We see the flaws and what we could do better because that's who we are, and we're critics of every structure we ever see. But
we've done very well with this house.
Yeah, we're
it's
very
definitely
happy
one
here.
of the dream houses.
Yeah, I would say that. More to come.